It's not started. It's not started yet. What is your job title and which organisation do you work for?
Okay, so I work for North East Lincolnshire Council, but I work for Children's Service in the Care Leavers team, and we're currently called New Futures. And I am a leaving care PA or caseworker, depends what you want to, whatever. Everyone calls it different.
What sort of attracted you towards that style of work?
So basically, I've always enjoyed doing direct work with young people. Back when I was younger, I went and worked at PGL. I did a season there when I was 21. And I really enjoyed like doing the group work, taking young people out. I came across quite a few young people that were in care at that point. So they were sent to on the holiday camp. So when I left there, I then went and did. So that's basically why I got into the work I've got into. But I don't know how far you want me to go in case with your questions.
What qualifications, skills and experience are required to do the job that you do?
Currently, funnily enough, actually applying for the job that I'm in now, a lot of it is more about the actual experience that you've got. So if you've worked with young people, or if you've run groups, anything like, it's more about experience than it is qualifications. Although if you was in a job interview and it came to two people that were really good, obviously they'd go for the one with the like an MVQ or a degree or something like that. But actually, if you were applying for it, you don't particularly need loads of qualifications.
What would you say the sort of biggest challenge is now that you're in the business, and the biggest challenge it took you to get into that role?
The biggest thing so very early on, I knew I wanted to do, I really wanted this post really early on in my career, but I knew that I needed to get that experience behind me. So before I did this job, I did a couple of steps towards it to get to this position.
What are the typical hours that you work?
So I've currently just gone back up to full time, but I do 37.5 hours a week. Sometimes I will do longer, sometimes I'll do shorter. I'm put down to work 8:30 till 4:30 with a half an hour lunch break. But in all honesty, sometimes I start really early, sometimes I finish early, sometimes I'll start a little bit later and I'll finish a little bit later. It's really flexible. And I personally really like that. If I go over, I just keep an hour of my log, and then I can take time back as and when it fits myself and my family around me. So I really like that about my job. But other people might need more structure. But I mean, you can have the structure if you want the structure. It's totally up to you. But I like being flexible. So.
What's your sort of typical work day for you? Is it all sort of like hands-on, meeting people, talking to people, or is there a lot of sort of background work that?
Oh my gosh! Literally every day and every week are so different. Sometimes I will just work from home and I'll crack on just doing paperwork. So I work with I've got 25 young people on my case that are all leaving care. So they've all need help with independent skills, moving on to adulthood. So they've not probably got parents and those people or that support network that maybe you or I have got. I don't know your background. So I am that kind of like adult or that parent. So I'll help. I just literally, my day is so different. Sometimes I will be out of town doing visits. Sometimes I might go to a prison and see young people. I might help them to set up accommodation. I might help them claim universal credit. I might help them get into education and training. I've got a girl that I've just got help to get into an apprenticeship. And I'll go wherever my young people are. So sometimes I've had to drive to Essex and see them there. Sometimes I'll just go around the corner. So literally, I can't tell you, every day, every week is so different. And I might wake up and think, oh, I've got nothing in today. Absolutely brilliant. And before I know it, I've got someone that's homeless, or I've got someone that I need to go to court and help a young person there. But I love that. I like that. I like that I'm out and about. I like that I can be at home if I need to. So my days, my weeks are really different, and sometimes I think I'm doing one thing and I end up doing a completely other thing. And today, unfortunately, I normally go in the office on a Friday, but actually my little boy's poorly, so I'm working from home. But brilliant, because I don't have to bother anybody else, and again, it just works around me.
Are there any opportunities for progression in your career?
Yeah, massively. So for a long time, so with the council, they're really about homegrown and things like that. And you won't know this, but we've not got many social workers. So my next step is to be a social worker, and that's where I'll get more money, more opportunities. I've been putting it off because I'm not massively into education settings. I'm not brilliant at at things like that. I know I'm not, but everybody keeps pushing me towards it, and actually that is the next step. So the good thing about the council is that they'll pay for my degree, and they will also pay me my full-time wage while I do the degree. So although I didn't get it earlier on, actually it's not such a bad thing, because I'm not going to end up with the massive debt like I know some people have. But don't not do a degree because you worry about debt. That's not my point. But yeah, the council. So I'm not worried though, and everyone is pushing me forward for it. So when I'm ready, I will do that degree. But at the minute, I'm not too worried.
What's one piece of advice you'd give to someone sort of starting out their career that sort of just finished their maybe A-level courses and that is wanting to go into your business?
Big bit of if you want to come into this business, or just, I mean, if I was going to give anybody advice about looking for work, I know it sounds dead cheesy and you've probably heard it before, but literally do something that you enjoy, because you won't be going to work. Like, I don't wake up in the morning and dread going to work ever. I've got really good support, and I think that's a massive thing. I've been in jobs when I was younger and I used to just literally not the night before just be dreading going to work, and I think that's an awful position to be in. But my advice would be on that: always give everything 6 months, because I do think things get better. And it's always, even now, even at my age, like starting a new job, I think the hardest part is those first 6 months. But once you've got over that, you're fine. And if you wanted to come into my work, literally get as much experience as you can of working with young people, children, young people, and even other professionals. And yeah, that's the best advice, really.
What are the main reasons why people would leave your type of career?
Some people don't. Yeah, I guess sometimes it can be very stressful. And if you've got a few people having a crisis at one point, it can feel quite overwhelming at times. And that's probably, some people would leave because of that. But I've always stuck it out, because I know that once you've stuck it out and you've got through it, it's absolutely fine again. And then, you probably have a few weeks of being calm and everything's okay again. But I'm sure that's most jobs, in fairness.
You spoke about getting as much work experience and things like that, working with young people. What sort of experience do you know that there is out here, especially around our area?
So I did get a job when I was quite a lot younger, I used to work with families with children with learning disabilities, and I used to give respite. So that was a basic start, and that was a good way in. Obviously I went to PGL. That was a really easy way in, and that was a great way of getting loads of experience of working with lots of different young people, and different age groups. Some came from boarding schools, some came from the really tough, rough schools. So I think that was a great experience. And then I went into work in children's residential homes, where if you're in care, but you're quite challenging and you can't go into a normal foster placement, we've got a couple of homes around northeast Lincolnshire that you can go in. So I did quite a few years there, and that was so that gave you amazing experience, because obviously I worked with quite a lot of challenging behaviour and stuff like that, which often when people just come straight into my job and they haven't had that experience of those behaviours, they're quite shocked. Whereas not a lot shocks me, to be fair.
If an applicant applied for your position, what would you find a typical interview to be? And is there any assessments or anything like that?
The interview process with the council throughout is the same, no matter what job you're applying for. So the first part is getting your application form. That gives you points. This was the last time I checked. So the application form, that gives you so many points. And then you have a prelim, which asks you 10 questions about your values and ethics. I think that gives you a way into the next round. The next round, you go and speak in front of 4 other people, and again, you have questions on the job role, and then you do a group work bit. And then you get points for that, and all those points add up. It does feel grueling at the time, but what I like about it is that there's a written piece as well. So what I like about that process is that actually you've got loads of chances to shine. I'm not brilliant at written pieces, and especially under pressure, but I know that I'm going to be big-headed here. I know I'm really good at teamwork. I know I'm good at those role play bits. I know that even if I don't know the answer, I can still kind of come across okay in that interview, so I can build my points up within the interview system in other areas. So although it feels a bit grueling, I do think it's a really good way to be interviewed. If
you were sat in the interviewer position interviewing potentially one of us, what is it that you would look for, forgetting about obviously your requirements? What do you look for in the person themselves, like characteristics, things that they can bring to the table as extras?
The biggest thing for me is work ethic. So you could get somebody that's got all the qualifications in the world and personality, but if you get someone with all the qualifications in the world and you sit them there and they can't have a laugh and they can't kind of like look at it great or kind of go and speak to people and they haven't got that personality, actually in this job it's like it doesn't really work. Like you've got to sit there, you've got to like, yeah, you've got to have a personality, you've got to be able to take things with a pinch of salt. And I think if that can shine in an interview, and if you're willing to like learn things on the job and you can turn up, show up, you know, you don't just go off sick because something's worrying you. Actually, you turn up and say, that's really, really worrying me. What can we do about it? And you're willing to learn and things like that. Like 100 times would employ that person over the one with thousands of qualifications. Again, I know Anna's going to kill me because she's going to be thinking, shut up, they need the qualifications, because obviously you do, and it's a brilliant, brilliant outline. But personally, when we're interviewing, like it's that personality and it's shining that through sometimes. And I know the kids I work with would rather have somebody working with them that's down to earth and a bit normal and says it as it is than somebody that rocks up in a suit. You know, my mum always says to me, you're not going to work dressed like that, are you? In my jeans and my trainers. And I'm like, if I rock up in a suit, they'll think I'm the fuzz. So it's just, and again, it's just picking that, it's picking your audience, isn't it? But if I was going for an interview, obviously I'd wear a shirt and tie. So, well, I wouldn't wear a tie, I'm lying, but I would wear, I'd probably go smart. I won't go in my jeans. So again, it's just picking your audience.
What sort of extracurricular? Obviously, you said about working with children, having things like that. Is there anything else extracurricular that stands out? For example, like DV or anything like that? Is there anything sort of like build on your team-based working?
But so you'd have to have, so don't get a criminal record if you wanted to go into it, because obviously you have to have criminal checks all the time, and they do that quite regularly, especially if you move jobs. Obviously, if I could turn back time, if I had the degree in social work, actually that would have opened up hundreds of doors for me. Don't get me wrong, I'm extremely happy where I'm at and I'm fine with that. But if I can't do, you know, I'm 40 this year, so I've been 25 years doing the same job. So actually getting that degree means that I'll be able to branch out and do all sorts of jobs at a higher level, and I'll be able to work. I can't go any higher basically at the minute without the degree. So yeah, if I could have got that when I was younger and I could have had my head on my level headed then that would have been 100% what I wish I could have done, because I could have stayed in this job on that degree, but what it would have meant was that I could have opened those doors now. So yeah, advice, get your degrees while you can. Or as much as you possibly can while you can, and while you're still got your head in the game.
That's it.
I think that's everything. Thank you.
Is it? Oh God, I hope that was all right for you guys.
That was brilliant. Thank you.
I speak a bit fast, don't I? Sorry. Oh, brilliant. Well, as long as you're all right.